righty, fire away.
Hey, Coach. What do you feel like you're going to start with pitching wise, and kind of what's the general strategy as you feel like going through this tournament with your arms?
Right now the plan is to start Micah Dallas tomorrow, and then we'll just kind of wait and see who we play. Really don't want to bring, Tucker didn't throw. I think he only threw 36 pitches in his start. Prager didn't throw that many, so we'll just wait and see what who we play, what that matchup looks like, how Detmer's doing. Ideally, I'd like to give Detmer as much rest as possible, but at the same time, still keep him on schedule so he's ready to go next week. So it's a delicate balance between giving him some rest and letting his foot get right, and also just certainly can't have him rusty next weekend. So we'll just see how the games go and attack them one at a time.
And from a pitching standpoint, how much is a tournament like this kind of a dress rehearsal for a regional and kind of getting a good rhythm of what you want to do with some arms?
Well, it's a much longer tournament. I mean, this will be other than Omaha, now that Omaha's condensed, conference tournaments are normally the most taxing, this one being extremely more taxing. Luckily not on us since we don't play today, but the fact that it starts a day earlier than most conference tournaments. So I think each situation is different. I think for us, I feel pretty confident we're going to be in a regional. I would assume that we are hosting a regional, given the SEC West champion. So we're not going to, we're not going to put ourselves in any position to where we don't give ourselves the best chance for success next weekend. So that's at the forefront of what we're doing while still trying to win the games.
Coach, when you look at the value of having an arm like Chris Cortez on your roster for the middle innings, just how important is that for him to be picking up the speed of SEC play this early on in his career?
Yeah, Chris has done a great job, especially given, where he is in his development. He's taken the ball every single time we've asked him. He's done it in different roles. He's thrown a lot of strikes. He just needs to continue to develop, those off-speed pitches and the ability to be consistent with those over the course of a game. As I've said before, I can't remember a pitcher that I've had in my career that has thrown with that velocity at the bottom of the strike zone as well as he does. Most pitchers in college, amateur baseball, pitch at a high velocity at the top of the strike zone. Chris pitches at the bottom. So he's got a chance to be really, really special once he figures out those other pitches. And that's the big if. He's shown signs of that. When he's that guy, he's outstanding. When he's not, then you get, velocity is the least impressive thing. It's kind of like batting practice home runs, right? The velocity is not very impressive when you can't pitch with it. So, and he's learned that, and nobody wants to be better more than he does. And he's a huge part of what we're trying to do moving forward.
And then when you look at some of the veterans on staff like Micah and Dylan, who have played in conference tournaments before, with this still young roster, is there a certain message they're trying to convey to these guys about playing it inning by inning, game by game, certain different processes with that?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them. I think this team's done a really nice job of just staying focused on the day-to-day and the task at hand. That's why we've been able to put together a solid season to this point. We'll head to practice later today and maybe have a few of those conversations. But I think anytime you make things bigger than what they really are, you're asking for trouble. So, we'll just attack each day. That's what this team's done a great job of all season long, and get rest and move on to the next one.
Coach, could you talk about the confidence that coming back and winning the West was able to, what you guys take into the SEC tournament this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you win a championship, that's great confidence. And but this team's played pretty confidently all year, you know. And I mean, you don't put together this kind of season, and especially the way we've done it, you know, comeback wins, and you know, just kind of without consistent starting pitching, where you're just kind of you're literally battling every single inning, and everybody is kind of playing a role, right? So it's not always pretty, but it's a total team effort. So I think if you ask our guys, they're pretty confident already, and I think they felt good about. I know I felt good about the makeup of it and the character of our team. Even going into the season, I had great belief in the character of the players, and that was a great place to start. So, yeah, they're a confident bunch right now. We just have to play good baseball. I mean, once you know, tournament baseball is tournament baseball. Whether you're 11 years old, whether you're 19 in college, or whether you're in the big leagues in the playoffs, it's just tournament baseball, and it's never about the best team. It's only about the team that plays the best. And so all bets are off once you get to this time of year.
Coach, on a different note, with it seems like in the last 2 years, but especially this year, a lot more teams have been using the shift, especially that two strike shift. Why do you think that's become so in vogue in college baseball right now? And it's something that y'all have done, and especially that mid at bat shift is something real new.
Well, we just have more information now in the college level that we've ever had before. Very, very similar to the major leagues. A lot of the same software, video, everything's on video now. You can, more games on television. So there's just more information. And, you know, once you get to this time of year, early in the season, you know, you're going off maybe last year's stuff, or you're reading swings, or you're not doing it nearly as much just because you don't have as much information. There's not as many at bats totaled up. But once you get to this time of year, a player is who he is. I mean, period. And so with the information we have and the amount of time and effort and money that we spend on looking at that, we're certainly going to put it in play. And it doesn't always work. You know, you're playing percentages. If somebody told you you could walk into a casino in Vegas and you had a, 92% chance of having it go the way you want it to go, you would play the 92%. But the 8%, if it doesn't work out, that kind of looks foolish when we're in a shift and a guy happens to hit one off the end of the bat and hit it the other way. But that's the risk you take. The stuff that you're seeing mid at bat is if a guy can bunt, if he has shown the ability to not just show it, but get it down, then you have to, in some instances, you have to respect that. In other instances, you may not care. Like, so if a guy's a big power hitter, say he's a big left-handed power hitter, he's shown the ability to bunt and the wind's blowing out to right field, take your bunt. I could care less. Just don't hit it out. Don't pull it and hit it out to right field, right? Depending on the situation. 2 outs, nobody on. If you want your bunt, take it. We may not want him to do that to lead off an inning and get an inning started. So it varies from player to player, which is why for our hitters, our goal is to, one, have them be able to use the whole field to hit. That way they can't play the shifts on them. And two, if they are guys that hit into those shifts or play, you can play those, and the ability to get down a bunt every now and then just to keep them honest is a great offensive tool.
Thanks.
Coach, when you kind of look at the matchup ahead, you potentially will be facing off against South Carolina if they are to win. When you have a game like that so fresh in your mind, just coming off of the last series, and you've seen the number of batters and the entire pitching staff, does that kind of make it easier for you to decide on certain matchups you want to go up against with pitching, certain players that you want to play against?
Yeah, sure. I mean, and vice versa for South Carolina if we were to play them. So it's a level playing field. But I tell you, the one thing it does is it saves us a lot of work. So I think game one's already been delayed this morning. We'll send 2 coaches to go watch the Florida South Carolina game whenever it gets played, and then of course you can watch on television. If Florida wins, then we'll be up all night trying to compile video are trying to put, all that scouting report stuff together so we're ready to play tomorrow. If we play South Carolina, we don't have nearly as much work to do. We already have most of it done. We'll freshen up on their last several games, but so we'll see. And I have friends that coach at both schools, so I'm not going to say if I'm rooting for one or the other, but obviously one would cause us to not to have to do nearly as much work.
And then when you kind of look at Jack, he's been one of the more consistent hitters in conference play. Just what does it mean to have him in the middle of your lineup and always being able to kind of stay very calm at the plate, no matter what the count is?
Yeah, Jack's a professional hitter. I mean, Jack, you just watch the thing you got to love about Jack is all the stuff you guys don't see. Jack has never taken a swing that he wasn't intentional with. Some guys will go in the batting cages and go through the motions. Some guys will go in the batting cages and know 5 out of 7 days they're locked in and 2 days they're not. There's never a day where Jack Moss steps in a batting cage or works on his hitting where it's not 100% intentional on whatever he's trying to do that day. And that shows up on the field. He doesn't give away at bats. He doesn't give away pitches. He doesn't panic in at bats. You might get him with a pitch, but you better be careful. He can get you the next time around. So he's not afraid to take his walks. Obviously uses the entire field to hit. And he still has a lot of room for growth as he gets bigger and stronger. Maybe can spend a whole off season on his body that he probably hasn't been able to do for his entire career. Then he's a guy you could see playing in the big leagues one day.
Last question for Coach.
In that same regard, is there any disappointment or frustration or bulletin board material with none of your guys getting first team all SEC and Jack not on that list?
You'd have to ask them. I would like to think our players are already self-motivated for team goals, and they'll, all that stuff will take care of itself. This is an awful tough league to win one of those awards in. You can be a great player. You can be a great future major league player and maybe never win an all conference. I don't know how coaches vote. I voted only on SEC statistics because I think that's the most comparable. And so you could make a case that Boast, Rock, Moss, who am I missing maybe? But certainly those 3 guys were deserving to be on the first team. But I think our motivation needs to be winning ball games, period. And that when the team goals are met, the individual goals will be well taken care of.
And then real quick with the shifts, is it you in the dugout that calls and keeps track and calls the plays, or is it one of the assistants?
We all meet on it. We have hours-long scouting report meetings and decide what we're going to do. I set the defense in the infield. Coach Early sets the defense in the outfield. Coach Yeski calls the pitches. But everybody on our staff watches all the video because I want a lot of different eyes on it. I want everybody's opinion on it. And then we meet long before the game and compile a plan, a pitching plan, a defense, how we're going to play defense to the pitching plan, and then go from there.
Thanks.
All right, see you guys later.